We were talking about how you're my secret weapon, and I have now fully hired you to be my secret weapon.
Yes,
and I said you're my secret weapon, too.
Full steam ahead.
Yeah.
We've still yet to launch you. But
I'm still looking.
I am not giving up, Kelly Jackson. We will do business one of these days.
Yes.
All right, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about just getting everybody up to speed on what to expect if you're selling and buying, because there's so much confusion with when to bring your house on. This National Association of Realtors that have changed the rules on how you can market, when you can get in. So everybody's confused about, I saw a house online and it says coming soon, but I can't, the agent's not calling me back. I can't get in, or my agent's not doing a good job getting me in because there's parameters around all this stuff. So I just kind of wanted to back up and remind people that the way this works. If you're selling a house, once an agent meets with the seller, they can go into a position that's called withheld, and that is a listed property, but it's not publicly marketed. So there shouldn't be a sign in the yard. It shouldn't show up on Zillow and Realtor.com, but it is a listed property for sale. When it is in that category, agents can let some other agents know, their own brokerages know about this property. So there are some percentage of the public that is finding out this property is for sale. And at that point in time, it's up to the seller and the agent to decide if they want to show that property. It's considered kind of like an off-market property. Once you go into a coming soon time frame.
So that's an official category.
That's an official category that a lot of people do not know about.
Right.
So as a seller, that's a strategy to use right now, because you can kind of soft launch yourself in. It's not publicly exposed out there yet. We can get some interested buyers possibly that will come in and make you a special deal because the public doesn't know about it yet. So, that is something to think about, as using that withheld piece as a strategy. Then the next part is coming soon. Now, coming soon will feed to some of the portals. Coming soon does go out into the full multiple listing service. Now, every agent in town knows about it, and anybody that is subscribing to the portals, the MLSs, that coming soon listing now goes out into the public. But the MLS changed the rules back in June and said nobody can show it during coming soon. So now you got to stop showing it. I know it's crazy. You got to stop showing the house if you were showing it. You cannot show it, but you can use it as a public marketing opportunity again to ramp up exposure.
So you can tell people it's coming, but you just can't show them.
You can put a sign in the yard. You can start posting it. It can be everywhere.
Right.
That can be anywhere from 1 day to 21 days that you could do that. Mm-hmm. Then it goes active. The problem that we were running into last year, which is why the MLS changed the rule in June, is that you would see a buyer or agents would see coming soon, no showings till the open house. You see that a lot.
Right.
Then and so the agent would call me, or the consumer would call, I saw this house. Okay, well, I called the agent and they're not showing it. No showings until, next Sunday, whatever. And then the next thing you know, the next day it shows pending.
Right.
So much frustration happened, and we're going to see that happen again, because what happened is people change their mind. Seller can change their mind and say, never mind, I want to show my house during coming soon, even though I said for the last 5 days I'm not. So the MLS came in and said, nope, we're not allowing you to do that anymore. But they can still turn it active any day they want. So even though they said, I'm not going to show it until next Sunday, if they change their mind, they just have to flip it to active status, and then they can start showing it. So that was one thing why you were losing opportunities on houses that you saw coming soon but couldn't get into. Then once people started getting frustrated with, I can't show it during coming soon, I've been watching it, I'm seeing other houses go pending, what the heck?
Right.
Is it my agent? Everybody blames, the agent. So what ended up happening is people started getting smart around those rules. So they go, all right, I can't get into it. Neither can anybody else. So I'm going to make an offer sight unseen. I'm going to make an offer to the seller and make it contingent on me seeing the house. So I'm getting myself first in line, which is why you would see coming soon still going pending when they couldn't be shown. So these are all little tactics and strategies that we're going to see in full force again this year, because we are at about 25% less inventory than we were this time last year. So the market's going to heat up again.
Hunger Games is starting again.
Hunger Games is starting.
So as somebody who is now starting this process, you tried to explain this to me, and I don't understand the strategy if they're trying to level the playing field so that everybody has an equal chance to see the homes out there. They're putting in rules that are doing the exact opposite.
Yes. So I was not necessarily a proponent of this. There was a big debate. There was a big vote nationwide. There's a council that voted on it. The point of it was that there were unscrupulous realtors out there that were using opportunities to take a listing. They called it a pocket listing, not letting anybody else know about it, which is illegal to have a pocket listing. And so they were letting just their team know, like they were gaming the system, and they were not exposing that property to the public a lot of times ever. So then the National Association of Realtors is saying for consumer protection, the most exposure for a house, the better, right? The more people know about it, then the more people are going to make offers on it. So they had to come in and figure out how to place some rules around it. But the problem is you can't force somebody to be on the MLS because forever and a day there's been off-market properties, luxury homes that don't want to have a sign in the yard. They don't want it to be on the internet. So you can't force everybody into one way of doing things. So this was their way of coming up with, we're going to put rules on agents to not let agents or sellers. I have to warn my sellers too. Once you're listed, you can't go posting it all over the place before we give you the green light, because it's our responsibility as a realtor with these rules to control our consumer, also to follow the rules.
But this withheld status, which is really confusing.
Yes, it really is.
That is basically a de facto pocket listing in a sense.
Yes. It's the equivalent to the old days. We called it MLS exempt.
Yeah.
So you could sign a form and say, I'm selling my house, but I want it exempt from the MLS. So you didn't put it in.
Right.
Well, if it wasn't in the MLS, it didn't feed to a lot of portals. Now, if you had contracts with certain portals like Zillow, we could take some of our houses and upload them to that. So that was a big advantage of an agent buying into those type of companies. Well, now Zillow went public with being a brokerage, so anything that goes in the MLS goes into Zillow.
Right.
But not withhelds, because withhelds are only showing up for your own brokerage.
Right.
That's it.
So if somebody goes withheld, the advantage is they don't have to necessarily stage the home. They don't have to. It's sort of like a coming soon, a secret listing, if you will.
Yeah, it's like a coming soon.
Right.
Kind of.
And experienced agents like yourself who have a wide network of connections and whatever else can sort of manipulate the market, if you will. I don't know, that's not the correct term, but tell certain people.
We can expose it. We can
like a whisper
expose
campaign.
it limitedly.
Yeah.
And then possibly get some interest. And then it's up to the seller to decide, is it to my advantage? Because sometimes selling the house before you go to the market is not always a bad thing.
Right.
However, if you're going to question, what if I could have, or what would I have gotten? That's the question that none of us will know if you sell your house pre-market. But a lot of times, someone that is in a position that knows you've had limited exposure, your house fits their bill, and they know in 2 or 3 weeks 10,000 people are going to know about it, they might make you one heck of an offer.
Right.
So, there's the pros and cons.
Right. Save you time, money, and energy, and just let me give them a good offer, a good solid offer, take it or leave it. And then the seller saves themselves all sorts of having to paint.
You don't have to have the house perfect. You didn't go through a million showings. You didn't have an open house. And sometimes, too, you got to think about this. This is one thing that I've learned over the years with dealing with a property that has more than one person interested. The timing of when someone becomes interested in the house and makes an offer sometimes is a part of what I use in helping guide which offer we're going to take, because I've seen too many times someone that is under duress rushing in to get that offer in before the deadline. They spent 5 minutes in the house. They get buyer's remorse later. So sometimes you've had somebody that'll come through during that withheld process or that early stage. They've looked at it a couple times. They don't feel like they have, 85 other people breathing down their neck, and they got to run out the door and make you an offer right away that they then later regret.
But as a buyer, if as Kelly Jackson likes to look and see, and I'm always a looky-loo, what you're looking at isn't really the actual market, because you don't know what's out there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's why something all of a sudden shows up pending and you'd never seen it before.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And we, agents like us, we try to network with other agents, so we're not just within our brokerage, and we're allowed to do that within parameters with that withheld listing, so we can kind of check around, ask people, let each other know on a one-on-one basis and get some of those properties exposed and sold if it serves you well. Because a lot of times withheld can be you're still getting your painting done, you're getting your carpet done. So it gives us a little bit of time to shop, even feel the market out a little bit for how much interest there was.
So the bottom line is this. If you're sort of know you're going to sell in the next 2 or 3 months, and why not?
Yeah, don't wait.
Don't wait. Get on this withhold listing.
Yeah, just sit down with us, because every person is different. It's a different scenario. So it's really just sitting down, figuring out what your goal is, and then we back into what's the best strategy to bring you onto the market.
It's sort of a buy it now button on eBay in a sense.
Exactly.
Is what it is. And and while you're getting ready and I'm going to sell in June or July or March or April, let me throw out a buy it now price.
Yes, and now that you spoke at eBay real quick, one last tip for buyers right now. When you're going into this market, think eBay, because list prices are really like an entry price.
Yes.
So don't get yourself caught up on 5,000 over whatever, because that's not the type of market we've been dealing with for 18 months.
Start it low and let it bid high.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, Kathy Halbig may or may not have a new withhold listing.
Maybe a couple
in University City.
That's right. I have a feeling she does. She will.
314-276-SOLD. 314-276-SOLD or KathyHalbigGroup.com. This is why you need an experienced realtor, especially in this crazy market. Kathy, good stuff as always. Thanks.
Thank you.